Mr. Mighty Marvel Show. I'm Paul, and today I am making waves everywhere. Marvel Legend waves. That's what I'm talking about, not those sort of waves. Marvel Legend waves. Because I've had a lot of time on my hands lately, and I'm always thinking about Marvel Legends. I'm obsessed with Marvel, anyone who knows who watches this channel. So I've been thinking, I've already done a wish list for 2022. Somewhere on the screen now, you can see the video for that. I've already done 2 parts of awards. You can see that on here as well now for 2021. So, what's left? I know I'd like to create some waves, make some waves for 2022. What I would like to see. And it got me thinking about waves anyway, because Hasbro, Marvel Legends, as you know, they create their figures generally, other than we get an exclusive or deluxe, which in 2021 you had 34 of those as one-offs. They normally create waves of figures. Some of those you get in the normal boxes, you see behind me here, and others you get in the sort of mint on card versions, as you can see here as well. But you normally get 6, 7, sometimes 8 in a wave, and then you get the builder figure with that. You know the background to it. So I thought, okay, what would I like from a wave? So I thought I'm going to come up with 3 waves, just what I'd like, just my own thoughts, just my own opinion, but based on my love of A, collecting, and B, Marvel, particularly mainly comics I'm focused on here. Now the MCU is well catered for with Marvel Legend waves. Everyone knows that. Every time we get something from Marvel Studios, we're going to get the figures out of it. And, we see a lot of that now, and that's going to continue. So I'm always excited about that. I have a lot of those figures, but I'm a big comic nerd for many years. So I'm going to look at the waves. So I set myself some rules with the wave because I'm a nerd like that, and I always like to set some rules. So I'm going to come up with 3 waves today. And I've set rules. They're going to be maximum 6 figures in a wave, because got to think of the cost. Cha-ching! It's all about the cheese. And a builder figure relevant to that wave. And then the 3 waves I set myself. So I got thinking about, well, what do I want from a wave? And I have a couple of fundamentals, which I'm sure you have as well, about a wave. The ideal thing you want from a wave is, as much as it might be expensive, you want all the figures. Because if you want all the figures, it means you love all the figures. And I love Marvel Legends. And yes, it's great for the wallet. I don't always collect all the Marvel Legends. I have a lot. But really, with a wave, it's great to get the whole set. I also like the fact that with the wave, you get a builder figure. And there have been a couple of occasions where I've got some awesome builder figures, but I didn't buy the whole wave, so I managed to secure some of the parts. Or actually didn't buy a lot of the wave at all, but I did buy the builder figure. And there's some really great traders out there on eBay, and if you place a second hand, where if you do enough shopping around, you can get some fantastic figures, well looked after as well. So ideally, I want a wave where I want all the figures, and I like the wave to be something that is sort of interlinked with each other. In the last few years, we had, I think particularly the House of X wave. That is from a particular comic book one, so all the figures related to that wave. That's great. Then you have the super villains wave. Again, all sort of linked, not to a particular era, but all linked to the comic booky type of theme of the characters. That was great. Into the Spider-Verse wave. I mean, there's a couple of random ones thrown in there as well, because you had the Frogman and you had the Hand of Ninja as well, but the rest were all based on the animation. And you had the What If range again as well. So again, another range where the figures were based on a particular era or particular story. So that's the sort of thing I'm looking for. So I've done 3 types of waves. My first wave is going to be a team, an actual squad of characters that were one particular team, and a builder figure relevant to that. The second one I've done is some are based on an actual comic book, so a comic book mythology of a particular character, and then a series of characters within that story's entire sort of run. So it could be from years ago or more recent introduction, characters that are linked to a particular character. And then the third one I've done is actually to pay homage to some of the creators, because without the fantastic creators that we've got, we just wouldn't have any of these characters or look and feel some of these characters. And very, very many of the Marvel Legends figures that we get are actually based on a particular design of a character by a particular creator. So I've looked at ones that is an artist homage. So I've got Team, Comic Book Mythology, artist homage. That's what I've got. And I'm going to start with the Team. Right, starting with Team, and my considerations are that with always, well, what teams do I love? Because obviously it's my show and I can pick what teams are popular. What teams have I already got a lot of that I'm missing characters that, might then be enough to say, because this is just fantasy wave picking here, so I can pick it how I like, and you can do the same. What about ones where I've got a lot of them already and I need to build a couple of others, or ones that maybe do an update within that team as well, and then any particular era from in that team as well. I love X-Men. We've had loads of X-Men. We've got some X-Men waves coming in 2022 as well. So we've had a lot of those lately. I love the Spider-Man mythos, obviously, and all the characters that go with that. That might come later on, probably might not. I love the Defenders. I love the West Coast Avengers. We've done a load of West Coast Avengers. There's a video on this channel about my Ultimate West Coast Avengers team as well. And I kept coming. Love Alpha Flight, but I've got all the Alpha Flight set that was out, the 80th anniversary edition, and Guardian and Sasquatch as well. So I've got them already. So I then came back to the Avengers, because there's been a number of iterations of the Avengers over, nearly 60 years worth of comics now. And that got me thinking, well, what's my best teams? What was the times when I was really loving comics and really enjoying comics the most? And it took me into that, as I harped on about on this channel loads of times before, the mid-80s era of the Avengers, where you had the brilliant Tom Palmer on the art, and you had a fantastic team, Tom Falcon. You had a brilliant team of writers and a great, from my perspective, a great Avengers dynamic in that era. And there was a hardcore sort of 4 or 5 in the team, and then a couple interspersed came and went over the course of a couple of years or so. But there was a focal point of the team. So the hardcore team I went to, it was a team that had Captain Marvel, was a Monica Rambeau, who was part leader. She took over from the Wasp. So the Wasp, and we've already had a Wasp, but that's an old school figure. Could do with a new update on the Wasp. So the Wasp, Captain Marvel, then you had Captain America, then you had Thor, who I loved in the battle armor, who we've never had, and I've been obsessed with getting a Marvel Legend on that figure for years and years and years, for classic Wall Seamers run. So with the battle armor Thor, you had She-Hulk, you had Black Knight, and then you get some interchanging in that. You had, for the first period that I love, you had Hercules, then you had Star Fox, and then Dr. Druid came in, and that sort of team, and then that team sort of ended up being crumbled because Dr. Druid was mind controlled by Nebula and destroyed the Avengers in that period. But it was a fantastic team. In terms of what I've got for that wave, so within that era, missing a Captain Marvel completely because I haven't got one. Already seen the Wasp, could do with an update on the Wasp, but that's 2 would definitely want. I've got a couple of awesome and cool Captain Americas, probably the coolest Captain America ever, which is the 80th anniversary version, which for me is a definitive Captain America, possibly the best Marvel Legends figure ever. And then you've got the retro card version from a couple of years ago, which is the lighter blue, which is more in sort of keeping with what the comic book had. So I think you're looking at an amalgam of those two. So somewhere between us. Now we have got the anniversary Captain America, the 20-year anniversary Captain America out. It might even be out by the time that this video hits, or whenever you're watching this video, and that's actually probably going to look the closest to that. So that's covering it off as well. But you can never have enough Captain Americas. So I've got those ones that go with it as well. I've already got as well the Black Knight, but this is quite a rare figure to get, due an upgrade. Inevitably there's going to be an MCU version at some point, which is not giving away spoilers for any other movies, but it's coming. And if you've seen a couple of movies, you'll know what I'm talking about. So would love an update of that one, because this is excellent. Would love an update of that one. You've also got to say She-Hulk, but There is a greener version, but again, it's back to that. It was a San Diego Comic Con exclusive with the purple leotard that she had in the comic book version at the time. So would love another one of those. And then you've got the brilliant. I mean, it's such an awesome figure as well, the Hercules. So that, I mean, that's just great. I absolutely love this figure. One of the best figures of 2021, I think that was. So there's a lot of those figures there already that I've got. So I'd be looking at probably having the Captain Marvel, definitely need. I'd throw in a Wasp because you need a new Wasp. Let's have a new She-Hulk. Let's have the Battle Armor Thor. And then I'm going to throw in Star Fox because I love Star Fox. We need a Marvel Legend of Star Fox. Again, no spoilers. MCU, maybe getting a version of that at some point. But that would be fantastic to get that. And then number 6, I'm going to go for Dr. Druid because there isn't a Dr. Druid. And then with all the ones I've already got, I can make that wave. So that would be my 6. Then the Builder figure. Now, there was a fantastic run just after the Masters of Evil fight where Baron Zemo took down the Avengers. After that, there was a great series where Hercules been beaten, was into a coma, and he was kidnapped from his hospital bed on Earth by what the nurses thought was Thor. Turned out it wasn't Thor. It was one of the Greek gods from Olympus, and he had taken Hercules back to Olympus to be healed, where Zeus had sworn Zeus, the Greek god of gods, he and Hercules' dad, he decreed that the Avengers must be destroyed and revenge on them because it was their fault that Hercules got beaten to a coma. But it wasn't. He was drunk and he tried to take on the Masters of Evil on his own, and he had an epic fail. But there you go. So I would have Zeus as a builder figure because how good was that be? Because you could have the bulk, the people done an Odin one from a few years ago, can have the bulk of Zeus obviously in the builder figure. The whole point of the builder figure for me is that you can do slightly bigger characters, more unique characters because they are parts within the normal boxes. So Zeus would be great, and then you can have the proper showdown out of that series with Zeus up against the Avengers. So that would be a dream for me. So my wave for a team wave is the Avengers, and that's Captain Marvel, the Wasp, She-Hulk, the Battle Armor Thor, Dr. Druid, and Star Fox. And that is my team wave. Okay, on now to my comic book mythology wave. And this is, so what I've done is I've looked at all the comics I've been reading over the years, what particular titles I've been reading, what have I read religiously from almost the day I was old enough to read comics right the way through. And then what sort of rich characters could I pull from that would create a good wave. And the beauty of that is that actually where characters have been there forever, you could choose different iterations of those characters in different costumes. So I look back, what comics have I read over the years? Well, I've read almost all the Marvel comics religiously. The ones I've stuck with from day one have been Spider-Man, Avengers, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Black Panther, Moon Knight. And the one I come back to actually this time was looking at it was Thor. Thor as a comic book series. Huge, rich vein of characters to tap into, spanning the cosmos with Asgard and out into space and Earth, because obviously when Thor came to Earth, he was Dr. Donald Blake, and he was coming to Earth, and he lived amongst humans for a long time, and has been a protector of Earth and very much in love with the Earth as a planet and its people, and he, member of the Avengers. So there's a whole rich vein to tap into. But weirdly, when I looked back at it, there's not a huge amount of characters that have actually come out of that have really been tapped into. You've had your Thor himself, obviously, and obviously you've got the main key Thor, the 80th anniversary, the classic comic book look there, which I really, really love. I love the Donny Cates run of Thor lately, and that costume has been fantastic. Certainly the Herald of Galactus costume, that's been awesome. That is a Marvel legend and a half, my friends, and that would be fantastic. So Thor himself as a character, but I'm not thinking of including Thor in this run. We've had a lot of Thors, obviously. We've had Loki, and this Loki's been reissued, and there's any number of MCU Lokis that we've had as well. And we've obviously had Lady Loki, and Lady Loki's been recently reissued, and this is the latest version, depending when you're watching this, of Lady Loki as well. But there's a whole rich vein of characters to tap in for that. We've had Beta Ray Bill, probably due an upgrade. And we've had the Jane Foster Thor comic book version as well. And again, we're going to get an MCU version of that. I'm absolutely sure. And that may well bring that wave from the MCU, from Thor Love and Thunder, coming soon to cinemas, may well bring a load of MCU versions. But I'm thinking comic book version. So, six characters synonymous with Thor, or that I particularly love. So, my start point is, and I'm going to knock off three in one go here. The Warriors 3, the brilliant Warriors of 3. You have Hogun the Brave, you have Fandral the Dashing, and you have Volstagg the Enormous. Now, Volstagg the Enormous could almost be a builder figure on his own, but let's have him as a character anyway in this wave. He's bold, he's brash, he loves song, he loves dance, he loves wine, he loves women, he loves fighting. But he's a very, very loyal friend of Thor. He looks great with massive, great big beard and his Viking helmet and his big old huge gut under his massive, lovely pink top. So comic book accurate one would be great. Hogun is a fantastic character. Really love the look of Hogun as well. He's got this sort of fur horned hat. Comes from a different planet, but he becomes a protector of Asgard from Niflheim. He is very sort of warrior driven. Got a sort of mace with spikes on it. Be a great character to have. That'd be a really good figure. Get a lot of good posing out of that figure, I think. And then Fandral the Dashing, again, it's almost like a Robin Hood type character in his sort of green jumpsuit. And again, that would look really great. That should be a real sort of good figure to pose and play around with. You'd have a sword as well, and maybe a bow and arrow with Fandral as well. So that would be great. So there's three of those there. I'd absolutely have Lady Sif, because Lady Sif is a great character. I'd actually have the version we've had over the last couple of years where Sif has actually she's replaced Heimdall. She's the keeper of the Rainbow Bridge and the seer of all 9 realms. And she's got a big red cloak, and she's got like a red battle armor with a sort of visored protective helmet, a massive great big sword, which obviously uses to control the Rainbow Bridge. That version of Sif would be great. I mean, that would fit with any of the versions of the previous comic book ones, because there's always been that similar iteration to that costume, the red and white look to it. So Sif absolutely would be great for that. And then I'm going to look at Balder the Brave. And Balder is Thor's half brother, who for a long time in the comics during the Walt Simonson run was the ruler of Asgard, when Odin was, well, at that stage, presumed dead. So Balder's a great figure again. And again, there's a really cool battle armor version. It's sort of white with some sort of pink and gold trim on it. That would look really cool with a cape as well. So that would be great. And having a Balder figure, then you've got the whole sort of Thor family being built with all the other Marvel Legends that are around as well. So that would be great. And then my sixth one to finish that out was a bit left field, but I absolutely love this look of this character. This is very 80s, let me tell you. This is very glam rock, Kiss, White Snake, very sort of glam 80s look. So it's Drago, and Drago, not the one from Rocky. I Must Break You, not that one. It was Drago. Now, this is from a one-shot comic. It was Thor issue 384, The Once and Future Thor, as a new creative team on Thor this stage. It was Tom DeFalco and Ron Friends, one of my favourite artists ever, and Brett Breeding were on the art. And this was a story, so there were three, not filler, there were 3 one-shot stories before they began a main arc when he took over the book after Walt Simonson's one. Bit of a palate cleanser, if you will, where from now 500 years in the future, the world was Earth was the planet. I can't remember what planet it was. Might be now. The planet was oppressed by this reign of tyranny. Most people were living underground and doing the bidding of these overlords. But there was a small underground resistance movement that paid homage to this mystical character called Thor. So they get together at night, they put their red cloaks on with their winged horns, and they were actually trying to find someone worthy enough, because embedded on their planet was Mjolnir, trapped in there, a bit of a King Arthur, the sword, Excalibur, Camelot, etc. And each night people would try, if they were worthy, to try and lift it, to claim the power of Thor, to bring the power of Thor, to stop the oppressive regime against them. And Loki was mysteriously in the background as well, again searching for Mjolnir to try and find out what happened to Thor, because Thor disappeared. So Drago is a bit of a cynic within the movement. He doesn't see any hope for the future. But in a battle with these rebel forces, or the Imperial forces, when you use Star Trek, oh my God, Star Wars reference there. Don't say I've got those wrong. That'd be ridiculous. With the big imperial sort of empiric forces that were attacking him, the battle ensued, and he reached out thinking he would give it a shot to grab Mjolnir to try and protect his friends. And yes, he became worthy, and he got the hammer, and so that hammer turned him into a version of Thor, a once and future Thor. And he had such an 80s look. He had these massive shoulder pads with spikes on it, proper sort of Mad Max, Kiss punk rock, glam rock. He had a massive, great big long ponytail, mulleted hair with a little like headpiece with the wings on the side. He had this leather two-piece top with a cut open chest because he was obviously ripped, which showed off his muscles. A bit similar to Thor with the discs that Thor would have on. But the cape was awesome. The cape was actually split into two, so the cape had two halves to it and it split out. And I just love the look of his character. It just looked great. So that for me, I'd love to get that figure as a Marvel Legend. So that would be a hell of a wave, and that would be Lady Sif, Hogan, Fandral, and Volstagg as the Warriors 3, Balder the Brave, and Draco the once and future Thor. That's not easy to say either. My builder figure for that. So again, keeping to that whole comic book era, the builder figure I love to get, again, taking the opportunity to get a bigger character out of it, is the Destroyer. But the Destroyer as Thor. So towards the end of Walt Simonson's run, Thor had a curse put on him by Hela, which is why I was in the battle armor, and there was a battle with the Destroyer that Loki was manipulating, where Thor's personality embodied the Destroyer's actual body, who was obviously the Odin's sort of Destroyer, funnily enough, who he would send in to cause chaos and destroy their enemies. So the Destroyer had Thor's consciousness in him. So you've got the Destroyer body with the hammer, with the wings, with the cape. That's just such a cool look. I really love that. And he'd have the power blasts, and he'd have Mjolnir. So that would be a great builder figure. So that would be my comic book mythology wave. What's next? Well, Artist's Homage is next. And my goodness, where would you start with that one? I mean, we're just blessed to have had some incredible artists, starting right the way back with the two original kings, Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko. Without them, there is no Marvel Universe, obviously with Stan Lee's writing, but those two just set this template for this incredible universe of characters. And there's been some amazing, amazing artists over the years, some really sort of distinctive looks, but also some that really, really have defined particular characters. So I thought, well, my goodness, where can I go with that? So then I thought, well, actually, I'll look at some that have got a really distinctive style in terms of the way they present their characters, also against ones I actually love as artists. And that led me to what for me was pretty obvious, was Alex Ross. And Alex Ross is just an incredible, incredible talent. So Alex Ross is responsible for the artwork on the Holy Trinity of the boxes from the 80th anniversary figures. So the Thor, the Iron Man, and the Captain America. So he's basically responsible for the artwork. His artwork spawned this Captain America figure, and it spawned the template for this Thor figure from the classic comic book. Alex Ross's book of art, Marvelocity, is incredible, and some of the way he creates the images of these characters is just absolutely sensational. It's the painted effect. He basically takes real people, and he paints them as you would get them in real life. So this is a Marvel art book. I've got the hardcover book. And again, so basically it's real people. So the costumes have a real costume effect here. So I pick out some examples of the costume. And Spider-Man is a great example. So Spider-Man there. So that's his homage to the Amazing Fantasy 15 cover. And then look at the way the Spider-Man is painted. So he actually shows it as what would a dude look like wearing the costume. And it's just fantastic. His art is just so rich. And again, here's some molds he made. So in terms of doing Lady Thor, that's an actual mold that he created to give him that look. And then he draws it to reflect that. So it's just stunning, his work. I could stare at it in fact, I do stare at it for hours and hours. And again, looking at his Avengers work, looking at his work on his painting there. So it's a really unique style to the characters. And he really presents them as people, as you can see there. So I thought, well, okay, Alex Ross is the way forward for me to do that. What characters would I pick out of an Alex Ross run. Now, Alex Ross did some variant covers for Timeless story a few years ago, and he basically took a few characters and showcased a few of those. So I looked at that initially because, again, I would easily say Spider-Man, but there are a lot of Spider-Man figures, so I'm going to steer clear of Spider-Man. We've got the Cap, we've got the Thor, we've got the Iron Man that were based on his look already, so we've got that type of thing. So I planned for 6 characters that are either a bit out of left field or completely due a figure that we haven't had for a long time, and that I think the Alex Ross look to it, to that character, would be great. Now, as they've done with the What If waves and as they've done with the Spider-Verse waves I've talked about earlier, that look is absolutely replicating what you see on the screen for those in terms of a cartoon and the animation side of things. So I'd be looking for characters that have that sort of painted effect to them, and I've come up with 6. I'm going to start with two X-Men, 2 mutant characters. The first is Storm, because I think Alex Ross paints an amazing Aurora, and this classic look with the flowing sort of cloak attached to her sleeves and almost like this sort of African goddess look is amazing. So that look would be fantastic there, and with dual Storm updates, that would be great to have that version of Storm. Then I've gone for Nightcrawler, again another character that we're due an update of, and he has a very unique look to Nightcrawler's face, very simplistic, really dark, almost bordering on black type of blue face that he gives Nightcrawler, which will look great to do images in the shade. And his costume is a real classic, simplistic feel to it that is real classic Nightcrawler for me. And we're due a Nightcrawler update, so that would be great to have that as well. Then I've gone for a team up of characters, and I've gone for the old school Heroes for Hire, Power Man and Iron Fist. Again, 2 characters that we're due an update on from the classic comic, and I'm talking the classic comic Luke Cage here. The baggy yellow shirt with the tight blue trousers and the boots and the steel headband and the gauntlets. That look, and Alex Ross does an amazing job of really getting into the sort of shredded, rippling effects of Luke Cage. That would be great. And his Danny Rand Iron Fist is brilliant as well. The real classic with the yellow, the yellow scarf mask face to it, and the vibrant green on the costume. That sort of effect that he gives. It actually looks like real clothes on people that a person could genuinely be wearing that. It looks like a costume would. So that is great. So I'd have those 2, and then I'd have 2 street level characters as well. I would want a Spider Woman. Jessica Drew, love that character. It's been in my wish list for a character anyway. So why not have a Alex Ross Spider Woman version as well? And again, he paints such a fantastic looking version of that. Like a costume that actually looks like you could picture someone wearing that. You think if you look up and saw that, that's what they would look like. That's how it would look. So that would be great. And another one that I think we're due an update on, and this is just a shameless excuse to get this figure in because I didn't put him in my wish list for the year when I could have done, is Daredevil. And I think the look that Alex Ross brings to the Daredevil costume, again, it's obviously it's got that sort of tight spandexy feel because it needs the agility that Daredevil has, but it looks like it gives him more protection than that, and it's got very sleek sort of sheen to it as well. And I think he draws an amazing Daredevil, and that looks brilliant. So that would be my 6. So I'd have Storm, Nightcrawler, Daredevil, Spider-Woman, and then Power Man and Iron Fist, the Heroes for Hire. My Build-A-Figure, again, now looking at some of the characters that Alex Ross again has drawn over the years, and thinking of my Build-A-Figure principles or something bigger that you wouldn't necessarily get in an individual pack, I've gone for Warren Worthington III, Angel from the X-Men, and I'm picking the classic version, the red and white striped version they had, because you'd have the wings as the Build-A-Figure set. You'd have a really cool agile figure. Again, he draws a great Warren Worthington, and he draws a costume that again would be something that you could practically see someone wearing. So that would be my artist homage wave, and that would be my Build-A-Figure with it. And that is my 3 waves I would go for. But what are yours? I'm keen to know. And you know what to do. Put it in the comments. Let me know. And then while you're there, thumbs up and subscribe and share it and tell everyone about these wonderful videos, and give it a like and follow. That would be great. That's it for me. Go and build your own waves. And here's another wave. Bye for now.